The new fascism is no longer nationalist or identitarian as they would have us believe. What then is Fascism 2.0? Who are they? How do we recognize them? Fascism is a political ideology and movement that profoundly marked the 20th century, notably through the totalitarian and socialist regimes of Benito Mussolini in Italy and Adolf Hitler in Germany. Its emergence and development had dramatic consequences on the world, leading to wars and genocides. The concept of fascism has evolved over time, and its modern manifestations differ from the classic historical forms. Some analysts suggest that contemporary neo-fascism could be characterized by assertive authoritarianism without necessarily including an identitarian nationalism. Let's explore this perspective, focusing on the characteristics of this new fascism and its implications. Characteristics of the new fascism. Firstly, authoritarianism and centralization of power. The new fascism manifests itself in a marked tendency to centralize political power and weaken democratic institutions. Leaders are taking steps to limit civil liberties, manipulate elections, and reduce the role of checks and balances, judiciary, media, civil society. Secondly, technocracy and efficiency. Unlike old fascism, which often used a nationalist and identity-based discourse, the new fascism presents itself under a technocratic veneer, emphasizing the efficiency, modernization, and rationality of public policies to justify authoritarian measures. Thirdly, anti-elite populism. A central characteristic is anti-elite populism, where leaders claim to represent the interests of the people against a long-established elite. This discourse is used to legitimize authoritarian policies by denouncing traditional institutions as inefficient or unfair. Fourthly, media control and propaganda. Media control remains a key tool. Neo-fascist regimes use propaganda to shape public opinion, often through social media and other digital platforms, to spread their messages and discredit opponents. Fifthly, repression of the opposition. The repression of political opponents, journalists, renowned high-level scientists, and activists remains a constant. Measures range from intimidation and censorship to arbitrary detention and physical violence. Repression of demonstrations in France. The management of demonstrations, particularly those of the Yellow Vests, has been marked by accusations of excessive police violence. The frequent use of law enforcement to maintain public order has fueled criticism of an authoritarian and fascist approach to governance. Challenges and implications. The new fascism poses significant challenges to contemporary democracies. Its apparent effectiveness and use of technology for social control make resistance more complex. Moreover, the absence of clear identitarian nationalism can make these regimes more acceptable to a segment of the population that is opposed to meritocracy. Conclusion. Contemporary neo-fascism, characterized by authoritarianism without rigid identitarian nationalism, represents a worrying evolution of classical fascism. By emphasizing efficiency, technocratic control, and anti-elite populism, these regimes appeal to a segment of the population opposed to meritocracy, which lowers the level of schools and calls into question the evolution of society. Why then is the Rassemblement National described as fascist? Simply because the Rassemblement National advocates national preference and opposes immigration that is incompatible with our morals and our Christian culture. Incivilities, knife attacks, rapes, and burglaries bear witness to this incompatibility. Who then are the real fascists? As always, they are on the left and now also in the center. Recent years have shown a shift of all political parties to the left, except for the RN and part of the LR. This trend raises questions about the true nature of accusations of fascism. The Italian writer Ignazio Silone said, "Fascism will not return in the form of fascism, it will return in the form of anti-fascism."